Hi, Kurt Jackson here. Hey, thanks for taking a few minutes to see more about what I was talking about in my message to you. I know you have a great relationship with a trusted advisor. Most all my clients do. Now, do you think that it's the big things that's likely to get us, or would it be like more likely the little things get us? It's the little things, isn't it? Now, it's because the big things we can see coming from a mile away, right? And that's why our advisors are on the lookout for. They're on the lookout for the big things. So it's like when you have, let's say you have an 18-year-old daughter, and you're getting ready to send her across the country to college, and you're going to send her in your 10-year-old car. Would you just have it tuned up before she took it, or would you take it to your mechanic and have them do kind of a 21-point checklist to make sure there's nothing lurking under the surface that might be apt to break down while she's on that trip and leave her stranded in the middle of nowhere? I mean, if that happens, is all quiet going to be on the home front? I know I'd have that 21-point checklist done, so I know that I'd done everything I could to help avoid that situation so my daughter didn't have any problems on her trip. Well, that's a big part of what we do for our clients. See, we've identified 21 things, little things that could easily pop up at the worst possible time in your life and wreak havoc on your financial life and your retirement. And the sad thing is that these little things, they go unchecked by almost everybody out there. See, in more than 50,000 client interactions with 150 financial pros around the country that are conducting these 21-point checklists, the lowest number of items that went unchecked was 17. Okay, and most people had 19 or 20. Imagine having 17 little things in your life that have gone unchecked, okay? Little things that could pop up at any time and ruin your retirement. Now, when would you want to know about them? Before they happened or after they happened? Of course we'd want to know before, right? All right, so that's why part of our holistic planning process is we not only look at the big things, but we take a look under the surface of your financial situation to make sure that these 21 little things don't go unchecked. We hope today's video kind of gives you an idea of what some of those 21 things are. It's going to be a little longer than we probably like, but it's packed with great information about the areas of your financial life that are likely to go unchecked. We've also been taught that we can't, the two things we can't avoid are death and taxes. Well, we've actually found some ways to avoid income taxes. We still haven't found a way around death. Since it's inevitable, when it happens to you, do you want your loved ones to also have to struggle to deal with all that needs to happen afterwards with your affairs? Do you want them to have to spend time trying to piece everything together, or do you want to make it easy for them to get everything handled in the easiest and least stressful manner? So if you were to pass away tomorrow, would your loved ones, especially your kids, okay, would they know where all the important stuff was? Things like your will, your safe deposit box, your taxes, your tax advisor, your account statement, your life insurance. The list is quite lengthy. Think about all the things that could fall through the cracks if they didn't have a roadmap that you created for them to follow. Do you have that roadmap? Would you like to create one? We have one that's part of our 21-point checklist, and we call it the Survivor's Guide. Do you have a trust? People that have taken the time to put together a trust do so to help protect what they have and their loved ones in the event of their death. And what we found is that there are little things that aren't quite completed. And if they were completed, they were probably done in a manner that doesn't necessarily allow the trust to do the things that you wanted the trust to do. If that happens, do you know what happens? Well, your loved ones have to do what you didn't want to have them do, and that's go back to court, spend money, waste their time. Right? Do you have a power of attorney? If you do, that's great. If not, tisk, tisk, tisk. Unless, of course, you don't care about the stress and pressure that you're going to put on loved ones if something happens to you where you become incapacitated and can't make decisions for yourself. But even with a power of attorney created by the best attorney in the world, if it was done more than 3 months ago, there's a growing chance that it won't work like you're planning on it to work. Now, this amazed me when I found this out, right? But when I realized that it wasn't due to any changes in the law, but it's how financial institutions respond to a power of attorney, it made it all crystal clear for me. So even if your power of attorney is perfectly legal, okay, there are several ways that it won't be enforced unless you know these things. And these are things that we help our clients with. Do you have a medical power of attorney? If you do, you should be commended. If not, also tisk, tisk, tisk. Okay. And that's because you're putting a lot of unneeded stress on your loved ones if something happens to you where you're unable to make medical decisions. But even if you have one, okay, chances are you wouldn't have it with you if something did happen. And if something did happen, your loved ones are going to do what? They're going to rush to the hospital, right? Do you think they're going to stop by the house and grab your medical power of attorney? No. So the people that go through our 21-point checklist, we make sure that these little things don't jump up and get them when you can least afford them. And they get to discover our secret ways of making sure you always have a medical power of attorney with you. A quality of life directive. Do you have one of those? Have you heard of it? See, people confuse this with a living will, but it's not. And, a living will handles end of life issues. The quality of life directive came from the medical field. Right? Now, probably the cruelest thing that you could ever do to your spouse or your kids um, is to have a medical power of attorney, putting one of them in charge of deciding your care without giving them specific parameters for your care. Without this, you can have a lot of family strife over what you would have wanted your care to be. Is that what you want in your life? One of the fastest growing crimes is identity theft. What measures have you taken to protect yourself from this happening? During our 21-point checklist, we share different ways to help prevent it and show you ways to combat it if it actually does happen to you. Are you sure you're financially protected if you, your spouse, or your kids injure someone, causes property damage, or someone gets hurt on your property? Our 21-point checklist typically finds that people think that they're covered, but aren't covered for as much as they thought they were for all the ways that they could get sued. This is especially true for someone with a trust. We find that about everyone with a trust has a gaping hole in their protection from these what ifs in life. Would it surprise you to know that almost everyone makes mistakes in the way that they title their assets that end up causing them to have to go through the legal process of probate? Do you want your loved ones to have to go through courts, to have to hire attorneys to get the money that could have just been passed to them seamlessly? Interestingly, a place where most people have a majority of their assets, which is retirement accounts, investment accounts, they don't end up having their beneficiaries properly handled. Okay? Even when they follow the advice of their financial pros and attorneys, they still run the risk of their spouse not having access to the money once they're gone. And most common thing we see is where you mistakenly disinherit your grandkids. I know, nobody wants that. Remember at the beginning I said the fewest number of these little things that people are exposed to was 17. So you may be thinking, these don't apply to me. But when in reality, most, if not all of them actually do, even if you think you've done everything right. How about paying unnecessary taxes? This is a huge one. The sad thing is that it doesn't need to be that way. It's very easy to identify if you're paying unnecessary taxes today, and more importantly, if you're going to be paying those thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in unnecessary taxes every year in your retirement. And this one really gets me. See, there are ways to structure your retirement assets that never have to worry about paying unnecessary taxes in retirement. Heck, we can even eliminate income taxes in retirement altogether. But yet almost every financial advisor out there seems to either ignore these strategies or doesn't know about them. And I'm not sure which is worse, all right? But I do know one thing. You're the one that loses out either way. Almost everyone saving for retirement has some, if not, most or all of their money in mutual funds. Sadly, we don't realize that just how much in fees we're paying in these mutual funds. And I realize that everything has fees in them. They need to, or nobody would offer them. But do you need to pay more in fees that are necessary? Do we need the financial world to purposely hide fees from us? You'd be amazed at the amount of unknown fees that all the people have gone through the 21-point checklist found they were paid. How mad would you be if you found out you were paying fees that you didn't know about and they were never disclosed to you? Right? Carrying that fee structure or that fee discussion a little further, what about hidden fees? There's a lot of them, and in all our client meetings, turnover costs inside of investments end up becoming a huge bone of contention for people once they realize how much additional costs these create, costs they were never fully made aware of when they moved their money into these types of investments. Bonds, interest rate volatility. Almost everyone has money in bonds, and the older we get, the more money we're told to put in bonds because they're safer than equities or stocks. While that might be the case, people end up with a false sense of security thinking that bonds are safe. And bonds are not necessarily safe. They may be safer than stocks, but that could be argued too. So a lot of people who are close to retirement or in retirement have a sizable exposure to bonds thinking that that's going to protect their money from losses. Because we can least afford losses when we're close to retirement and in retirement, right? People are blown away when they discover this about their bond exposure. How we have our investments allocated or weighted inside our portfolios. People weight try to have their investments weighted to where when times are good, they're getting good returns, and when times are bad, they aren't losing a lot. And that sounds great, doesn't it? The problem lies when you think that you've allocated things to provide this protection, but when they're truly analyzed by a research firm that's not trying to sell you a particular investment, you'll find that you probably don't have a good weighting of assets in your portfolio, thus leaving you at a lot more risk than you thought you were. Right? when we find that we're not quite as diversified as we thought we were, you never want all your investments moving down at the same time. Even though you might be putting all your eggs in several baskets, they may all be in the back of the same truck, and if that truck hits a bump, what happens to those eggs? They're likely to get cracked or broken, right? Could it be more advantageous to have all your eggs in one basket in the front seat being held by someone who could help you absorb those bumps to keep your eggs from getting cracked or broken? Right? So this is a pretty good idea of what our 21-point checklist covers and the areas that you are most exposed to, the little things that are popping up that might derail your retirement. Now, come on, nobody wants those things to happen, do they? And I realize this goes against what you felt you have with your current financial plan, right? And I'm sure your current advisors are awesome and they've done a great job for you on the big things. But remember, it's the little things that are likely to jump up and get us, right? So after watching this video, are you 100% certain that all those little things are properly handled? Or are there some concerns? Now, you wouldn't be human if you weren't at least a little worried that these little things might pop up and get you at the worst possible time in retirement. I mean, when's the best time to do something about a problem? Before it happens or after it happens? Before, right? It'd be a whole lot better to have it handled before so we don't have to worry about trying to fix it after it happens. So are you 100% certain that you're completely protected from these 21 things? Or would you like to do the safe thing, the prudent thing? Come on, you know it. Go ahead and admit it. Do the smart thing, okay, and get a 21-point checklist done for you so you can sleep better at night. Right? So now that you're ready, or at least thinking about having that 21-point checklist done for you, you're probably wondering what's the cost and what's the catch, right? And there's great news for you here. We conduct these 21-point checklists for free, right? And I know anytime anyone offers anything for free, first thing you think is, all right, what's the catch, right? Well, here's a catch, if you will. We found that when we do these 21-point checklists for our clients, about in those 50,000 client interactions done by 150 financial pros around the country, we found that about half the people that we do these for end up taking what they found and go back to their advisors and get them fixed. But the other half ask us to help them with it, okay? So when they ask us, we're compensated for that work that we do. And now this compensation can be handled in a whole bunch of different ways. We always help the client figure out what's the most economical and efficient way of doing that. That's part of our process, part of what we do. Now, I don't know how much you know about the type of my business, but my type of business. But if I can get half the people that I meet with to work with me in one form or another, then come on, isn't it obvious why I would conduct as many of these things as I can for free? So that's it. That's the big catch. I do these for free because about half the people that I talk with end up wanting us to help them. Right? Does that help put your mind at ease a little? I hope so. More specifically, is your worry about what the catch is, more or less, does that overcome the worry that if you don't, what might happen to you if you don't do your 21-point checklist, okay? Because you don't want those little things to jump up and get you at the worst possible time. So, not sure which way you want to go, so we're kind of at a crossroads here. But if you'd like to have that 21-point checklist done for you for free, then you'll need to book an appointment, and I've provided a link below. Okay, we'll meet for probably about an hour, and then there's going to be some things that you'll need to provide for me, and I need those things so I can be as accurate as possible in my findings. And if you're married, I'm going to require that both spouses be present. While I'm happy to do these for free, I do have a limited number of spots available. And when both spouses aren't there, I end up doing them twice. So I have a policy that if both spouses can't be there, then we won't have the meeting, okay? And we'll have to reschedule at a time when both of you can be there. Isn't that a fair trade for me offering some of my expertise for free? All right, so if you're ready to have your own 21-point checklist done so you can look under the hood and make sure that nothing is going to derail your trip through to and through retirement, then go ahead and click the link below, schedule an appointment. And if you're not ready, I can certainly understand why. I mean, you don't know me. You don't know that you can trust me. You don't know if I'm going to try to sell you something, so I get it. It's perfectly understandable to not schedule an appointment. I just hope that your current advisors fully understand all these 21 things that almost everyone overlooks, all right? And that when we found that proven through over 50,000 client interactions. So if you'd like to sit down with me and go through and have me conduct one of these free, I'd be happy to do it. You just click the link below. If not, hey, good luck to you, and I hope you have the best retirement possible. Have a great day.